Andy, the truth hurts. Tonight, we're going to uncover a myriad of truths in the WWE that might hurt, but at the end of the day, make a lot of sense. Welcome to this live edition of Squared Circle Radio, the show that is for the fans, by the fans. That's the young buck, Andy York. I'm your phenomenal host, Mr. Podcasting Chris Belcher. Andy, lots of things happening in the world of wrestling, and it's Money in the Bank week, so lots to talk about tonight.
Yeah, there is a lot to dive into and talk about tonight. Some things that are good, some things that are not so good, some things we've got some opinions about. So it's going to be a fun episode that you don't want to miss. Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun to just dive in and talk about it all.
And as I said, Andy and I are going to tell the truth tonight. The truth about our feelings, because that's what we feel, and this is our platform to share those. And if you dig what we're doing, and you're a regular around here, thank you so much. If it's your first time, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, drop us a comment, a question, all of those things. We would appreciate that so much. A quick programming reminder, and I'll remind you at the end of the show. Tonight, we're going to start our 2-episode per week format. So if you're looking for Money in the Bank predictions on tonight's show, you're not going to get it. You're going to get it on Wednesday. So keep it locked here into the channel. Hit the notifications bell so that you know when that show goes up Wednesday evening. That's when those Money in the Bank predictions are going to happen. But tonight, it's all about what happened on Raw, SmackDown, lots of things. And of course, Andy, let's get started with the big news that really rocked the wrestling world on Sunday. R-Truth took to social media and announced that he was being released from the WWE. Lots of reports came out after that, Andy, which stated that his current deal wouldn't be renewed. Maybe they just decided to part ways before the deal was over. Not exactly sure if it totally expired or what have you. All that to say, Andy, lots of people, including you, not thrilled about this, especially because of the spot that R-Truth was recently given. Of course, it's Saturday night's main event program with John Cena during his farewell tour. I'll let you have the floor to speak first on your feelings. R-Truth no longer with the WWE.
Yeah, this one, this one really sucks just because all of the other releases are not fun. Like release season is never fun. It's never a good time. There's always one or two people that are on the list where you look at them and go, man, there's a lot of potential there. There was something there. They could have done something. This one just hits different though, because we know who Truth is. We know what Truth is all about. And I know he's older and he probably doesn't have, several years left in the tank.
Sure.
But that doesn't mean that he didn't bring a lot of value every time he was on screen.
Sure.
There's a reason why people were excited and clamoring for him to go up against Cena at some point. Like as soon as Cena mentioned his farewell tour, I feel like a lot of people instantly were like, okay, we're going to get, Cena versus this person and that person. And R-Truth was always in that mix of somebody that Cena had to face on this tour. And it just seems like such a slap in the face to a man who has literally embarrassed himself at times and done things for that company to entertain us. And just because he's a little older, you decide to just dump him and leave him and release him. And then you have the audacity to use budget cuts as a reason, or to say, well, he's making so much and he's older, so he's not really worth it. But then sit here and charge $40,000 for people to sit at SummerSlam, or pay $300 to sit where we sat last time for SmackDown here in Nashville. You just signed a sponsorship with Slim Jim. You have people like Logan Paul on your roster. It's just, I get it. There are business decisions that have to be made, but it seems like a lot of this is just excuses to get rid of people that you don't want. And if that's the case, be upfront about it, be real about it. But you heard several times tonight, you're going to start to get those reactions if this is how you treat your talent. And I really thought we were behind, like past these days. I really thought we had moved forward from these days. And it seems like we are kind of right back at nobody's safe. Like, I wouldn't be shocked if to see anybody's name except for maybe a Roman or Cody or Seth just be dropped and released at some point. So it's just frustrating. WWE had a lot of goodwill the last year or so, and it seems like over the year they have very quickly killed a lot of that by some of their own decisions and some of the things that they've done. And it's very frustrating to sit here and watch it happen.
Well, and Andy too, like I completely agree with what you're saying. I do, because I love R-Truth. I mean, you look at the backstage nonsense that he's done over the years, of course, with the Judgment Days. You're seeing on the screen the most recent stuff that he did that just absolutely nobody else could have pulled that off. And just a way, we talked last week a lot about Chelsea Green maximizing her minutes. Well, R-Truth is another guy who just was so memorable with everything that he did. Every time that I hear Dominic Mysterio's name, I always in my head hear Tom and Nick. I don't hear Dominic. I hear Tom and Nick. And that's because of R-Truth. So making memories and the way they did it, I think all of your points are extremely valid. And I think the reason that it hurts us so much is because he was just in this big spot. And maybe, just maybe, we don't know. This is not a fact. This is just me speculating. Maybe WWE and R-Truth already knew he was getting released when this match was happening. And this was his send-off. This was the way to give him the spotlight on the way out and let him wrestle John Cena and do this Ron Cena thing and whatever, and be able to honor his career in that way. Now, he did get squashed by Solo on or not, by JC on SmackDown. Yes, I'm fully aware of that. But I think a lot of it coming from someone that works in the business world and knows when news is kept from the public until a certain time, there's a good chance that people knew about this before Sunday. Like, it's real good chance that this was, everybody knew. And Sunday was the day that it came out, So I just, in my heart of hearts, I would like to think that they respect R-Truth a little more than that because he is older and because he's given so much. But Andy, the fact of the matter is, it's a business decision. Like you said, we're dealing with TKO Endeavor. Like, this is not just the old senile Vince McMahon running things. And there are rumors out there right now that these names were put in front of Triple H and he's the one that decided who was getting cut. But at the end of the day, we're still dealing with a billion-dollar company that is making decisions for WWE, not just WWE at this point. So there's a lot of factors at play here.
Yeah, there really is. And I thought about, that being the case, that maybe they did know, or they had some idea that this was happening before Sunday, before this weekend. But then at least have the courtesy to make that match at Saturday night's main event, title versus career. Like,
sure.
How easy would that have been? And then all of a sudden you just write that into story. Now you don't have the shock of everything happening, of just up and releasing him. And I think that's why I don't necessarily believe that this was a planned thing. I think it was just a spur of the moment thing, because I feel like they would have at least built it up somehow, like build it up storyline wise, or just put something out there. But this was just on a random Sunday, not even a Friday, just on a random Sunday after he literally just showed up on TV, just dropping him and releasing him. It seems like a very disrespectful thing to do to somebody who has been what I would consider a WWE lifer at this point. And, I don't think that's really a thing anymore. I don't think we can really say anybody's a WWE lifer, because anybody is, next on the chopping block, it feels like. And yeah, like you're right. We don't know if Triple H had the ultimate say or if he had to just pick people to put out there. Because this isn't just affecting R-Truth. I mean, Carlito, another one that was week to week the only interesting thing about Judgment Day, because he was funny. And then you just up and drop him too without any notice or anything. without even like kicking him out of Judgment Day or just, I don't know. So it seems like this was a very, from the outside looking in, it seems like a very short leash, like rash decision that just happened over the weekend because they saw some numbers and they were like, oh, well, we can trim the budget somehow. You know, we can't, it'd be unethical to charge people $50,000 to sit at a show. So let's, keep it at 40,000 and cut some people somewhere. So it's just, it's very frustrating to kind of sit back and look at it, especially knowing some of the ways that TKO handles business outside of WWE. It's very disheartening to kind of see this stuff happening.
Yeah, it's definitely not your mom and pop WWE anymore. That's for sure. Like we're dealing with way bigger stuff here, and some things are going to happen that we don't like. We were up in arms about sponsors on the ring mat for a long time, and now ticket prices are astronomical, and now some superstars are getting released that maybe they shouldn't be released. I'll tell you this much, Andy. We were talking about Braun Strowman getting released several, it wasn't months, weeks ago. Let's just call it weeks. Lots of rumors were floating around that he was going to get a deal where he was going to come in sporadically and do a program and then he would leave, whatever. I can totally see them doing that with R-Truth, especially because of the kind of character that he is and the way that they used him anyway. Just bring him in sporadically. But I will say this. I was in the car with our buddy Vacation Aaron when we got this news. We're on our way back from Mississippi. And I got to give him credit for this. It's not my idea. I got to give Aaron credit for this. He says, what would be incredible is if R-Truth went to AEW, and I filled in the blank and said TNA because you could do this. I don't see him going to AEW, but have R-Truth go to AEW or TNA and think that he is in WWE based on all the people that he sees there.
Yeah.
I mean, look, AEW, you can do it with Edge, you can do it with Christian, you can do it with Mox, whatever. Ricochet. TNA, you can do it with Hardys, Zack Ryder, Kurt Hawkins. You can do it with Tom Hannafin, the announcer. I mean, lots of people you can do it with there too. So I think if he goes anywhere, it's TNA. It's just a logical landing spot for him. I honestly, Andy, if he doesn't sporadically show up in WWE, he might just be done wrestling. He's 55.
Yeah.
He might just be done.
Yeah, I think that's probably even if he does sign somewhere, I don't think it's going to be like a long-term deal, and I don't think it's going to be to like wrestle. I think he's just going to be an on-screen personality that sort of like what Santino Marella has been doing with TNA, of just being like an on-screen authority figure kind of thing. As you mentioned, I've seen some people online float that idea around, and like the first thing I thought of was it would be amazing the first time he sees Jericho if he went to AEW.
Yes.
And we got Truth and Jericho backstage. Like that would be hilarious to see something like that. Or, Edge would be another one that would be great in Christian. There's a lot of opportunities for him. But I will say this. If we keep getting, and I don't think we will. I think it may just be a 1 week thing, but if we keep getting like Truth chants throughout each show, they may sign him back to a Legends deal or something just to bring him back, to avoid backlash or anything like that. Because we've seen him do it before. They've done it a time or two before. So I don't think we're necessarily done with R-Truth and WWE.
I agree.
But it's just sometimes it's the way that WWE and really any company handles doing this. There was a much better way to do this than what they did. And so I think that's what a lot of people are frustrated about is, the way that this is being handled and the way it just out of nowhere came, like it just showed up out of nowhere.
Yep. Again, from the business side, it certainly seems like out of nowhere for the fans. They could have known about this for a month. Who knows? And I'm not trying to take up for them in that manner. I'm just saying that's how these business transactions work. A lot of times that's how contracts work. A lot of times, I've had various people that I've worked with that I know are leaving long before they leave. And that's just the way that it is, As we get ready to move on, again, we may or may not have seen the last of R-Truth in WWE, but looking back on the several years that he has been here, what are some of your favorite R-Truth memories? I know you can't think about it and not laugh. Like, it's impossible.
The year, there's a couple. Like the year that he entered the Rumble, and before he entered the Rumble, got under the ring, pulled out a ladder, thought it was Money in the Bank, like that, like stuff like that was funny. During the Authority time period, it was like 2014-ish, I think. It may have been the Money in the Bank that Rollins ended up winning. Everybody's in the ring cutting promos, and Truth's music hits, and he talks about how he's going to win the Money in the Bank, and Kane's of all people's like, "You're not even in the match," and he goes, "My bad, y'all," and he just leaves. But it has to be, my favorite moment has to be that interaction between him, Brock Lesnar, and Paul Heyman.
Yes.
Right before the Rumble, when he said, "I'm going to throw you over the top rope, Paul Heyman," and you got a legit laugh from a guy who, like, his whole gimmick is to stay in character and to stay serious, especially during that time. That, like, to me, that's the most memorable, funny moment. But then, like, you know, he had some serious moments. Him and Little Jimmy were always great. Like, there was a lot that R-Truth did that was not everybody's cup of tea, and I understand that, but you could definitely see the entertaining aspect of it.
I'll tell you one thing that wasn't everybody's cup of tea that I really liked, and I'm going back in the archives here because WWE was we didn't realize at the time, but WWE was in a low period in like 2019, like 2018, 2019. It was not,
it was real low.
It was not great. I was having a blast. It was not great though, but the duo of R-Truth and Carmella and their random dance breaks were just so underrated, dude. Like that duo of R-Truth and Carmella. And then on the WWE network at the time where he had his game show where it was during COVID and he made people do a scavenger hunt in their own house. Dude, I mean, I don't know if that's on Peacock or not, but if people haven't seen that, it's so funny. It's hilarious. Oh my gosh.
All his stuff with the 24/7 title. With, like, he made
Drake Maverick
a title that was so stupid. Him and Drake Maverick made that title relevant and funny, and it was great every time.
They did. All right. We appreciate you guys being with us. Thank you so much. If you're watching live, like the video, smash that subscribe button if you haven't already. And of course, drop us a comment, drop us a question. We'll try to get to as many of those as we can. Again, we are doing 2 shows this week, so we're going to try to split this one up a little bit. So we'll do a little more tonight, and then we'll preview Money in the Bank on Wednesday on the channel. So if you're not subscribed, you're not locked in, make sure that you do that. But we cannot go any further. We have to, no matter how short or how long our shows are, take a pause for the cause and shout out our friends, Tom Bryce and SportsWire Radio.
Looking for all the latest happenings in the world of sports and wrestling? Well, you're in luck because SportsWire Radio has you covered 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and 365 days a year. With great shows in the world of sports, such as the Pinstripe Chronicles, hosted by Uncle Tats, Donald Stewart, and Rob Barrows. New York Baseball Talk with Chris Bazaya and Rob Maraska. The Liftoff Jets, also hosted by Chris Bazaya and Sharman Phillip. Neil Villapiano and the Devil's State of Mind. Randy Dillon's Hockey Fan Chat. In the world of wrestling, SportsWire Radio has you covered with Squared Circle Radio, featuring Chris Belcher, Andy York, and Jared Justice. Those sit-down marks with DB, Primo, AJ, and Michael. A work in progress, featuring the Mayor of Canton, Piles, and Glenn Abbott. You can catch all of these great shows and more anytime, anywhere, and any place via the Listen Live button on SportsWireRadio.org, and you can also catch SportsWire Radio anytime on YouTube at SportsWire Radio 6579 to catch all the latest happenings in the world of wrestling. SportsWire Radio has you covered. It's all sports matters and all wrestling matters here on SportsWire Radio. I am your host, the owner of SportsWire Radio, the #1 global radio station, the owner of the Promo Wrestling Federation, and one of the owners of the Pride Wrestling Federation. Your voice, figuratively and literally, where all wrestling matters, the Reverend Tom Bryce.
Thank you, Tom Bryce. Thank you to SportsWire Radio for everything that they do for us. Hey, and again, if you're watching our show, help us get the word out. Squared Circle Radio needs your help. Share our show on your social media channels. Tell a friend. Let's build this community. We would appreciate that so much. Andy, I told everybody that we're not going to preview Money in the Bank tonight, but Money in the Bank, the field is set. And that was a big part of Raw and SmackDown this week. And dare I say, I'm going to use the word shocking for the 4 new participants that have rounded out the field. I'm going to run through them really quick. You had Naomi getting the victory in a triple threat match on SmackDown. You also had Andrade pulling out the win from who knows where. You had the newcomer Stephanie Vaquer in her first night on Raw, qualifying for Money in the Bank. And in the main event tonight, it's not CM Punk and it's not AJ Styles. It wasn't even Chad Gable, Andy. El Grande Americano is in the Money in the Bank ladder match. I use shocking to describe those 4 entries. When you look at those 4, what say you? What do you think?
I really enjoy 3 of the 4. I like the addition of Naomi, and I like the addition of Stephanie. I think those 2 are great additions. I'm very excited for the women's Money in the Bank briefcase because you've got
really good,
a lot of veterans and a lot of young talent that I think are going to mesh really well together, and just going to take the entire. That might be one of the matches that steals the show. Is that one?
Yeah, it's gonna be good.
And then Andrade. Listen, we've seen him in a ladder match before. We've seen him in a Money in the Bank ladder match before, and he's always been really, really good. And he's one of those guys that we've talked about, like, who out of the entire roster needs a spot in this match? I think Andrade has an argument to be one of them.
Yeah.
To just reestablish himself, to build his name up again. So I'm excited to see him in there. The only one I hate, and it's not even because of who it is El Grande Americano. Because of the fact that if this is how Chad Gable wins Money in the Bank and enters the main event scene, it's going to make me furious. You wasted a perfectly good Intercontinental Championship title run by having him be the one to beat Gunther at WrestleMania a couple years ago. Let him just squander and really do nothing of substance. And then if this is how he gets the job done, it's the most Vince McMahon thing Triple H has ever done. If that happens, and it's going to be nuclear if that happens on my end, just so you're aware. So, if that does happen, you definitely want to tune into the post show, because I will not be a happy camper unless they unveil that it's finally him.
I think that's what's going to happen. We're not making predictions on this episode.
No.
I think that's what's going to happen, if I'm being honest.
If that does happen, then I'm more okay with it. Don't like it, but I'm more okay with it. But if it's just him in this gimmick, there's going to be some words said. So, but yeah, we wanted more star power in the men's. Don't know if we got more star power, but it still added some intrigue to it. It's not like it put a damper on it or anything.
Yeah, for sure. Listen, the chance tonight of he's Chad Gable, no, he's not. I popped. It was so good. And the fact, Andy, that AJ Styles and CM Punk shared a ring together in 2025 after the comments that had been made back and forth, and then not to mention, we know the beef that AJ has had with Paul Heyman, and they shared an on-screen moment tonight as well. Like, what are we doing? Yeah, I'm with you. Like, I don't think El Grande is going to win. I think it's definitely interesting to insert him. I think it's a way to, because let's be honest, Andy, you want CM Punk to win the Money in the Bank briefcase, but he doesn't need it. Like,
I wanted AJ to win. No, I wanted AJ Styles to win that match and then win Money in the Bank. That's kind of where I was leaning.
I got you.
But
I think, the point that I was going to make was I think Punk gets to the main event without it. AJ, I can definitely make the argument for, but again, adding Gable in this gimmick is very interesting. Andrade, you talk about a guy that's floundering and just needs a spot. Like, it's huge for him. He's going to do well in this match. My pushback is the 3 newcomers in the women's match. And we'll talk about this a little bit on the Wednesday show as well. The 3 newcomers in the women's match, while all are very talented, Andy, are newcomers, like on the main roster for less than a month, and we're in this match. Like, I'm not mad at it.
Stephanie was shorter than that, wasn't she?
Yeah, tonight was technically her first night. Yeah. So, like, I was given grace for Roxanne, who, I mean, I guess has flirted with the main roster since the Rumble, but still,
Yeah.
Julia and Stephanie Vaquer, a week, 2 weeks, 3 max. You know, it just, I don't know. I'm afraid that one of them is going to win, and I'm going to have a bad taste in my mouth about it.
See, I'm the complete opposite. I hope one
I know
of them
you
wins.
are. I know you are. I know.
Because listen, like the whole thing, like the whole premise of the Money in the Bank is to give someone an opportunity. You want to make a name for yourself. You're getting thrown into the fire right away. So why not, you know, take off and let somebody win it? Because I mean, if you look at the whole roster, if you look at the whole, you know, the whole field, most of them need it. I would argue Rhea Ripley is the only one that doesn't need it, which is why I'm afraid she might win.
No, me too.
But like, she's the only one that the Money in the Bank briefcase wouldn't benefit her. It would just be a tool. It would just be an object that would just be a waste of time. Maybe you can make that argument somewhat for Alexa, but she's been gone 2 years. I think she could use it and it would work. But like everyone else in that match, you want to make a name for yourself. Look at what it did for Tiffany. Like, I think it fits that character and it fits that mold even better. So I'm excited for it.
Honestly, the success that they saw with Tiffany is why one of these 3 ladies is probably going to win. Like, they saw what Tiffany was able to do. Like, let's just do this with Roxanne, or let's do this with Stephanie Vaquer, or whatever. That, I think one of them will win because of that. One more quick thing from Monday Night Raw before we get out of here. The mashup, Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed's music tonight. I don't know if you caught it or not, but dude, the mashup was just sick, man. It's so good. There's, by the way, for those of you looking on the YouTube screen, there's a little sign that's over Braun Breaker's right-hand shoulder. Just spoiled a pick for me for Wednesday's show. If you don't see it, it's fine. We'll get there. Having said that, though, Andy, I noticed this tonight more than ever. This, of course, is a picture from last week, but I'm showing it again to show the aura of this group. Andy, we need to name this group. Like, we need a faction name, like, now. Like, I felt that tonight more than I have before, and I don't know why.
I think Seth, like, mentioned maybe the name last week, or, like, a running title. I think he named it, like, The Vision, which don't know where they got that idea from. But I think like
radio.
Yeah, but I think like I agree. I think if we're gonna have this group around long term, I think they do need a group name. I couldn't really hear the mashup very well. Like, I could tell it was happening, but I couldn't hear. It threw me off because I could hear Bronson's music, and then all of a sudden it would get really quiet, and then I would hear Breaker's music, and I was like, "What are we doing?" The smoke with Paul Heyman coming out first, though, and then you see Bronson come out. Then you see Braun come out. I'd looked like me and Katie were sitting here watching. I looked at her and go, they are a terrifying tag team.
Yes, they are.
They're terrifying.
Yes, they are.
In the best way possible, which is why I really don't like the fact that this match got thrown out. I understand the world champ is in it, and I understand Sami Zayn doesn't really need to eat that many more pins. But if he ever needed to eat a pin, tonight was the night, and have them just run through him. Because they need to feel really big, and now they just kind of feel like they got away with it because of Seth getting involved. But that's like my only critique of this whole entire presentation, because everything else, they look the part, they're believable in the part. Just everything about it is amazing. And honestly, like, I'm excited to see. We knew Braun Breaker was already on this path of like. A rocket was already strapped to his back, and he was heading straight to the top within a year or sooner. But I'm glad to see someone like Bronson get this opportunity too, because he has always kind of flirted that line. I feel like of he would get really popular and then would get injured or something and then would fall back,
or get released. He's like, we talked about releases, get released.
Yeah,
and now he's back.
And now he's one of those guys I could see breaking through that glass ceiling. And a guy like a Damian Priest, who initially when he started, he'll never be a world champ. He's probably going to be mid-card guy. To now, like, I could see Bronson Reed as a world champion at some point.
Yeah, for sure. We talk, we said that this group was set up for Braun Breaker to be the one to beat Seth Rollins, and the whole thing. Could easily see them run back Bronson Reed and Seth Rollins one more time and have that be an issue. That was,
this could all turn into a triple threat.
Yeah, I mean the vision explodes. The vision, I don't know. I can't think of that right now. But regardless, yeah, for sure. That being said, excited for the future of this group. Excited to see how the world title fits into this. Excited to see what happens. Punk, and again, the Easter egg that was on that shot there that I'm not going to mention, that I'll mention on Wednesday. Want you guys to tune in on Wednesday as we give our Money in the Bank predictions. Again, subscribe to the channel, turn those notifications on. That way you know when that episode goes up Wednesday evening. Full disclosure, we're shooting for around the same time we go live on Monday nights to drop our episodes on Wednesday nights. That just seems to be a consistent rhythm, so we're going to try that. Again, we're going to try this shorter show thing. We're going to see what happens. We hope you guys are digging it, and if it doesn't work, say the word and we'll go back to longer shows and whatever. But we think this will be cool. We think this will be able to give us an opportunity to spread some new content throughout the week and leave you guys wanting a little bit more. Andy, as we sign off, man, it's weird to end a little bit early, but here we are. And then Wednesday, we're coming right back to predict Money in the Bank.
Yeah. I think there's a lot to talk about. I think that's part of the reason why this episode feels a little cut short, is because we have to tiptoe around the Money in the Bank pay-per-view. So join us Wednesday. I think, the last couple of pay-per-views, well, outside of WrestleMania, we've had a lot of the same predictions. I don't think that's going to be the case.
We never, full disclosure, for you new folks that are around here, Andy and I never have the same Money in the Bank predictions. We just don't.
We don't.
We certainly
neither one of us are normally right. So
this is the one where neither of us pick the same and neither of us are right. It just doesn't happen, and that's what makes Money in the Bank fun. It's one of the most fun pay-per-views of the year. We're going to preview it Wednesday on the channel, so stay tuned in right here, either on the YouTube channel, or if you're listening on podcast, just make sure you're following on whatever platform you're on. Like the video, subscribe to the channel on the way out. We would appreciate that so much. For Mr. Andy York, my name is Chris Belcher. This has been another live edition of Squared Circle Radio. We will catch you guys down the road.